It is too often said, as long as they're not hurting anyone, I don't care what they believe. What people really mean is, as long as it's not hurting me, I don't care. What people believe affects others, it can influence families, societies, and even nations. Beliefs can heal or destroy, unite or divide, depending on their nature and the intentions behind them. Why is it that people believe witches were evil, yet not the men who burned them alive? They knew nothing of either, but because they were told one was wicked and the other was holy, they became afraid of the victim and grateful to the murderer. Indoctrination is simply another word for brainwashing. It is the process of shaping the thoughts and actions of others to fit a desired pattern. By itself, it is neither good nor evil. It becomes one or the other depending on how it is used. Manners, personal hygiene, and values are all effects of indoctrination, as are religious dogma, racism, and hate. There are many forms of evil, and Christians, Muslims, and Jews alike have been indoctrinated since childhood to overlook one of the greatest evils in existence. They have been blinded to believe that the men who have sold their souls to corruption are heroes, defending rapists and mass murderers simply because they were taught to. Christians believe Abraham, Moses, and Joshua were men of God, even while knowing they raped women and massacred thousands of innocent families. Moses and Joshua slit the throats of newborns and ordered their soldiers to rip fetuses from women's bellies, yet to the followers of Yahweh and Allah, they remain good men who carried out the will of their God. They are told that men no different from themselves are chosen by God to teach them the truth, and they believe it. They are taught to impose their beliefs on others, threatened with stories of eternal burning in hell and suffering at the hands of the devil, even though God himself granted every soul free will to make its own choices. They do these things, and many others, because it is what they have been indoctrinated to do. As religious children, they learn from the church that they are weak, that God gives them strength, and in time they truly convince themselves they are weakness. They are told all they must do is give money to God and he will grant their desires, as though God were a jinn who grants wishes after receiving payment. They accept this blindly, as if the creator of all things could ever be greedy for money. To believe such foolishness is, in itself, blasphemy. If God answered prayers according to church attendance or the amount of money given, there would be no death, no sickness, and no pain for the rich. Such suffering would be reserved only for the poor. Imagine a world where belief and regular attendance guaranteed every desire, but where all one needed to do was go to church and pay their dues. In such a world, there would be no learning from mistakes, no struggle, and no purpose. Everyone would win the lottery and everyone would be immortal. We would ask for the job we wanted and poof, it would be ours if only we believed hard enough. But if prayers truly granted every want and need, what would be the point of work, education, or growth? God is not a genie who grants wishes in exchange for belief or payment. Yeah, if the preacher says it, they believe it. Most Christians believe slavery, rape, murder, and theft are wrong. Yet they follow and defend the men who committed these very acts and worse. They excuse it by saying, that's just how it was back then, or it shows that God can use bad men to do good. But a wise God does not employ a liar to speak the truth. What good did Yahweh's chosen truly do? One might say Moses freed the slaves from bondage, yet after being freed, those same people took slaves of their own and slaughtered thousands. Is it truly good to free someone from chains only to use them to massacre others? Another excuse I have often heard is that the people they killed were evil and deserved their fate. But when we examine the acts of Yahweh's chosen, how could those they murdered have possibly done worse? There is no record of Melchizedek committing such atrocities. In fact, he saved the prisoners Abraham intended to enslave. At the time of Jesus, women were treated as property, animals were sacrificed to appease their God, and the laws of Moses ruled all behavior. Yet Jesus did not live by these ways. To justify immorality simply because it was once accepted is a failed attempt to excuse evil. As adults, we can no longer blame anyone else for our actions, regardless of our beliefs or the indoctrination we've received. The more deeply one has been influenced, the harder it becomes to change, and the stronger their beliefs, the harder it is to accept that they have been deceived. Yet, no matter how difficult it may be, the question remains, how badly do we truly want to know the truth about life, death, and God? If discovering it were easy, everyone would already know it. God has not hidden anything from us, nor is there anything we are not meant to understand. What has been hidden was concealed by foolish men who believed they had the right to decide what others should know. We are not taught everything in church, only what benefits the church itself,